What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the North Shore 9 Postgame Show. I am Jim. With me today is Neil. There we go.
You got it.
Man, the Pirates, they hang on today. They win 7-6. Neil, what's going on tonight? How you doing?
I was doing a whole lot better about 30 minutes ago. But a win's a win. We keep stacking them up.
Yeah, I was, typically, when I'm doing post game shows, I watch the game on my sofa, like in the basement, and then with 3 outs left, I head over here to my office, kind of get everything situated. And that 9th inning lasted way longer than I would have preferred, and I think longer than David Bednar and the Pirates would have preferred. But yeah, the Pirates at the end of the day, they win 7-6. It's their second win of the series. They've taken 2 out of these first 3 games. They have the chance to take the series tomorrow. My dog's playing with a ball in the background, but yeah, let's get started. So Colin Selby is the opener today. Mm-hmm. He has looked really kind of Jekyll and Hyde in his limited time in the majors so far. At times he looks like unhittable, and then at times he looks just awful. This game started out good. He struck out his first batter, struck out his second batter, but then he gives up a double and a single. Nationals get on the board early. He does strike out the side in the first, but yeah, I mean, we're down 1-0, and we really haven't even gotten to Quinn Priester, who's going to be, a big story here coming up later. But down 1-0. Real quick thoughts of Colin Selby. I mean, what did you see there?
I saw another reliever who has really, really, really good stuff and has not yet figured out how to harness it yet. Like you said, the 3 strikeouts were great. Like, he started this game really well, but you're right. Like, he cannot keep it consistent to save his life. And, ERA in small sample sizes aren't great, but 8.66 ERA is pretty bad.
It's not great. This was his 4th time being used in the opener role. 2 of those scoreless, 2 of them he's given up runs. He's now given up a run, though, in 4 of his last 5 appearances. So he's going through a little bit of a rough stretch right now. But again, looked good at times. He had 3 strikeouts, right? Mm-hmm. But the single and the double is what ultimately did him in that first inning. Fortunately, we head to the bottom half of the inning, and the Pirates bats just immediately responded. Jackson Rutledge, who was taken 1 pick ahead of Quinn Priester in the 2019 draft. He's making his major league debut tonight for the Nationals. And the Pirates welcomed him to the majors by lighting him up for 4 runs in that first inning. So that was nice to see. The offense came back, responded, and they grabbed an early lead and really kind of made Quinn Priester a lot more comfortable, heading into his outing. 4-1 after that first inning.
And they kind of did today what I was complaining that they didn't do yesterday, which is what they actually were getting hits when it mattered. Like another 11 hit day today, but it wasn't just walking in sack flies, which are good, but they were attacking the ball, and they were hitting Rutledge all over the park, and so was their catcher, who hit him was that in the first inning? Did Rutledge get hit in the first inning in the head?
That was no, that was in the 4th.
Oh my, right, okay.
So that was right before the home run.
Yeah, rough day for Jackson. But yeah, no, like it was a rare time where we actually looked really aggressive at the plate and we were attacking him, and it helped that Jackson Rutledge probably isn't that good of a pitcher, but it was a nice change of pace.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was nice to see the bats like just kind of immediately respond to that. So G1 Bay led off with a single, Bryan Reynolds singles, Brian Hayes double off of the wall to tie the game. Sawinski singles, comes through with an RBI single. Endy pops up, but then Palacios RBI single, Piguero RBI single. They bring 9 guys to the plate. And just all around, I mean, a really good performance against the rookie making his debut. You put him on kind of put him on the ropes early, and that impressive first inning, impressive response to that 1-0 deficit. So Pirates get all these runs in the first. Now it's time for Quinn Priester, right? We've heard a lot about Quinn Priester since he got sent back down. There's reports say he's throwing the ball harder, he looks better, and it was like, okay, well, I want to see it. I want to see it in the majors.
Yeah.
And Neil,
we kind of saw it.
I'm not gonna say that like this is like a great appearance by Quinn Priester, but you look at the final line. 4 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. He gave up 2 homers. I think a lot of that, the final line, and I said this on Twitter, like the final line is not going to look great, but there were some things to be encouraged about, with Priester in this outing. He retired the first 9 batters that he faced. The velocity was up, and just to kind of give some numbers on that, the sinker today averaged 95.2. It hit 97. It was up 2.5 miles an hour over his season average. His 4-seam fastball averaged 94.5, hit 96, up 2 miles per hour over his season average. So the fastball, the hard stuff, was harder today. And I think you saw the difference that it means for him as a pitcher, because at times today, those first 3 innings, actually the first 4 innings, he made 1 mistake in that 4th inning, but he looked really good.
You're right. The final line does not look good, but like unlike other starts where you kind of scratch your head and you wonder like, where the heck do we go with this guy? You can see where he was going, because most of the runs and most of the damage, like especially like the home runs, were taking that new stuff that he's working on and leaving it hanging in the zone. And as bad as the Nationals are, they're still going to take, advantage of that. But like the fact that you can see those first 3 innings, and then I don't think a ball left the infield until that home run.
I think that's
right. What the broadcast said.
Yeah.
It is something to, be intrigued by. And, you want to see him sustain it for more than 3 innings, obviously, but he has 2 more starts for the rest of the year?
I would say at least 2, maybe 3.
At least 2? Yeah, that's what you want to see him build off of the stuff with the velocity, and his fastball was moving today. Like I don't think he was really throwing 4-seamers today, right?
He threw both. He threw 14 4-seamers and 15 sinkers. Yeah. He kind of started off heavy on the 4-seamer, and then he kind of switched to the sinker later on in the outing. But I thought both pitches looked great. Like the sinker had some movement on it, and the sinker was actually harder than the 4-seamer today. So, like I'm with you. That stuff looked good. The slider, he hung a couple of his breaking pitches, and ultimately that is what cost him, his final line, right? But that slider, 5 swings and misses on 11 swings. The curveball had a 22% whiff rate today. But 9 whiffs, I feel like that's a lot more than what we're kind of used to seeing from him in the past. He was missing bats today, and the stuff looked good. Like I said, not the best final line at the end of the day, but
not by any means.
An encouraging outing, the best that we've seen him look, I think, in the majors.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. And I don't know, like I would not be upset if he just ditched the slider altogether. I feel like it's rather unnatural for him. He was a curveball guy out of college. Sorry, out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And the curve is his best pitch. I think even just by the eye test, it's the best pitch. And I still think he's really struggling to learn how to throw that slider. And I know that's what the Pirates like to do. Like, they love their sliders, but I mean, you're right. That many whiffs shows that there is improvement there. And it's kind of what he was building on in AAA. So I like what I saw.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they kind of stick him in this bulk guy role for the rest of the season, or if they give him another shot at actually starting a game. Obviously, long term, you kind of want Quinn Priester to be a starting pitcher for you, right? You don't want to be using this opener follower strategy, long term. But yeah, definitely, I was encouraged. I'm excited to see him kind of finish off this year. The Pirates are going to need people to pitch innings, down the stretch here, and he's going to have to be one of them. And if he pitches, if he can expand on the stuff that we saw today, then I'm going to be much more on board with him kind of going into the off season. I said, right now, you can't really rely on Quinn Priester as an option for you next year.
I agree.
So you really want to see him show you something down the stretch here. Connor adds here, not on board yet, but this is possibly progress.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can't, he was not great tonight. You can't hang your hat on this performance, but I would like to see him in a Bailey Falter role. I don't think you want him trying to go 3 times through the order while he's still working on the stuff. I don't think he's at the point where he can consistently locate it, and we saw that tonight. And I would also like him in drive line immediately in the winter.
Somewhere tread, drive line.
Sorry, tread. He needs to spend the entire winter at tread on the Mitch Keller program.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Connor mentions they didn't really get a hit off of the sinker. It was all off of hanging, breaking stuff. And that's where the damage was done. The 2 homers that were hit off of him, one was on a curveball that just didn't get buried enough. The other one was a slider that really just hung right there in the middle of the plate. So he made some mistakes and he paid for it. But overall, an encouraging outing. And I am looking forward to more Quinn Priester games, here to end the year.
At least at the very least, you don't have the same sense of dread. When I saw it was Quinn Priester was pitching tonight, I was like, here we go again. But yeah, no, it was a lot better. And I guess one last thing is when I think Drew Milas, whatever the heck his name is, when he hit the homer, I'm like, oh, this was how people feel when Josh Palacios hits home runs off their team. Who the heck is this guy?
Yeah. And then the other thing Quinn Priester has going for him is just every time he goes out there, I think he just tells the offense hey guys, get some runs for me. And they just oblige. He is a 9.09 ERA now. He picks up the win today. He's now 3-2 on the season, a winning record with a 9.09 ERA. He has, just to kind of dig a little bit further in here, the Pirates have a winning record in games that Quinn Priester pitches in, and the dude has an ERA over 9.
Baseball is such a stupid sport.
It's the best.
But it is the best, and that's why we love it.
Yep. So, anything else you want to add about Priester? Again, 4+ innings. He didn't get out of the 6th. He got into some trouble there. But overall, encouraging, some signs of improvement, but you definitely want to see him kind of put it all together down the stretch.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, again, I think the biggest thing, what Connor said, is that the fastball and the sinker was always the biggest worry. And the fact that that's getting curbed is pretty nice. It's intriguing, if you will.
I hate that word.
I have to include it once every show.
Yeah, I know. Before we move on to the rest of the game there, Bryan Reynolds. Again, we mentioned him in the first inning. He came through with a single in the first inning, but in the 4th inning, he hits a 2-run homer to extend the Pirates' lead 7-1. His 20 first home run of the season. He goes 3 for 4 today. OPS now sitting right at 805.
All right.
So he's got it over 800. He's just having a really good, I feel like, last 2 to 3 weeks or so. And if he can keep this up throughout the end of the year, again, like, you didn't love what you saw out of Bryan Reynolds kind of throughout the year. He was kind of just there. He was doing just enough to like avoid heavy criticism. But now you're seeing him play good baseball. And because of it, the Pirates are winning games.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really had an issue with like. I think the first week when he came back from injury, I think it was kind of clear he wasn't fully healthy. But after that first week back, I think he's been really darn good. Like, he hasn't been like the star Reynolds, I think, that we kind of like want him to be. Like, but like the first 2 weeks of the season. But I mean, no, he's been a really consistent, quiet, reliable bat. I have no issues with how he's played over the last 3 months. I think it's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, his July, I think if you look at it, was rough, like OPS in the 500s. But nice.
That's when he was dealing with the back stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's when he came back from that injury. So, but yeah, good August. He's now putting together quite a good September. Again, OPS, he's got that over 800 now. You want to see that kind of just keep on creeping up. Again, he was kind of doing enough to just escape by and avoid criticism, but you need Bryan Reynolds to be good. Like, he can't just be an average hitter. He needs to be a good player, and we've seen that from him the last month or so.
Yeah. Like I think we keep saying it. The team got a whole lot better when Bryan Reynolds and Bryan Hayes started winning. It started hitting the baseball.
Yep.
Sometimes it's really simple.
Yeah, I think so. Reynolds didn't get a hit yesterday. That snapped his hitting streak, but yeah, another really solid game from him. Bryan Hayes, again, we mentioned the double. He just, it's nice having a Bryan Hayes that's like a productive major league hitter. It really is.
Yep. I mean, it always feels like a little disappointing because he's not hitting like on the same tear that he was like for a solid month. But it's also so relieving because he is the league average bat that we all wanted him to be at the beginning of the season. And he's projecting to be more than that next year. And I think that's legitimately exciting. And there's not a whole lot of things that are legitimately exciting about this baseball team, but that's one of them.
Yeah. I would say more than anything, that's probably the most that's the most positive story we've had from this season, is kind of the emergence of Bryan Hayes here in the second half. You thought going into the second half that he was like, okay, well, I mean, Bryan Hayes, this is who he is. He's going to be a well below average hitter, and he's going to give you Gold Glove defense, and you're just going to have to live with it. It's going to be frustrating. Like, he's going to end up being a solid major league player, but he's just going to frustrate the hell out of you the entire time. But today he kind of continues that hitting big double there in the first inning. Rest of the offense, Peguero came through with an RBI single in that first as well, lasered one into left field. He picked up another hit later in the game. He just continues to impress at the plate. Definitely going to be streaky at times, it seems, because he doesn't get on base as much as I'd like him to, but you can't really argue with the type of power that he gives you out of that middle infield.
Yeah, the power is the big thing for me. He strikes out right too much, and he doesn't walk nearly as much as you would want him to. But I think he's a refreshing breath of fresh air in terms of how he approaches the plate. And I think even though his WRC plus isn't where you want it to be, his aggressiveness gets you runs with runners in scoring position more than the more passive approach I think we're used to seeing from these guys. And I think that shows. I feel like every time he's getting a hit, someone scores. And maybe that's just like the placebo effect, and maybe it's what I want to see, but like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, no, it does feel like he kind of seems to be involved a lot, in the game. So and he's been playing good defense, especially at second base. He's holding his own at shortstop, but he's definitely quite a bit better at second base.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, like you can and league WRC plus for second baseman isn't great anyway. So like you can live with a Leo for Piguero who is batting the way he is with the plus defense that he provides. Like if you're looking at next year, like Hayes hitting, Cruz hitting, like Piguero there at second, like that's 3/4 of an infield that I think you'd be happy rolling with going into opening day.
I'm with you. Going into this year, I think one of the things you wanted to find was like who's going to be your second baseman, right? Like it started off like Castro was the guy, and then Castro fell off, and it was like, oh, well, maybe it's Marcano, and then it's like, oh, maybe it's Nick Gonzalez, oh, maybe it's Leo over Piguero, and you kind of Piguero's definitely been the most impressive out of all of those guys, and like I said, the power piece is definitely the most interesting part of his game.
Yeah,
and the fact that he's played a pretty good defensive second base as well. So yeah, I'm good with like right now, kind of penciling in Piguero as that opening day second baseman next year. Like give him some run time.
Yeah, I agree, and I would even like I would like to see what he has at shortstop too. Like I would legitimately like to see like if like Cruz like ankle injury of that level is going to mean he's going to need the off days next year. They're like, can you play shortstop? It also allows you to see if Nick Gonzalez might be someone you can actually bring in and like see over the last couple of weeks of the season. Like I would rather see Nick Gonzalez and Piguero play the middle infield every day than watch Alika Williams swing his pool noodle.
Or what about Vinny Capra, who hasn't appeared in a game and
is he still on the roster?
He's on the roster. Played.
I thought he got sent down after Triolo came back.
No, he just hasn't registered a plate appearance since September 3rd.
That's insane.
So like, I don't know what I don't.
What is he doing here?
I don't know what we're doing here. Like,
all right,
let's get rid of Vinny Capra, call up Nick Gonzalez, and let's like play the guy. Like,
yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation, but
sorry, did not want to turn this into roster construction chat, but
yeah, Connor brings up a good point too. Like Henry Davis probably needs activated here any day now, so somebody's got to go, and Andujar's here too, and
Capra and Williams go down to AAA for Gonzalez and Davis. I think I'd be pretty happy with that.
Or Andujar or Triolo. I'm whatever. I'm fine with it. I mean, like Jared Triolo, I know people were like clamoring for him to come back, but like he 0 for 3 today. He's slugging 293.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like that's not gonna work. That's not even good enough for a utility player who you can plug and play like when you need to. Like you can't. That is an unrosterable guy.
Yeah, I guess like I would prefer him just because of his flexibility over an Alika Williams. So they're basically the similar hitters. Yeah, and I don't really think Alika Williams is even good at defense. So at the very least, Triolo can play a solid glove. So
yeah. Now we'll say Alika Williams made a mistake today. He was a defensive replacement in the ninth, and we'll get to the ninth inning because
do we want to go over the bullpen first? I think we have to talk about the bullpen.
We'll get into that, but yeah, I mean, I guess so we talked about Quinn Priester, his outing. He leaves in the 6th inning. Ryan Borucki comes in. I know we kind of keep talking about Borucki, but the dude just keeps getting the job done.
I don't get
it. He comes in with a guy on base with nobody outs, and he's just like, ho hum, I'm going to strand this guy like I always do. He pitches an inning and a third, scoreless. He actually walked somebody today, his 4th walk of the season. But the ERA is now down to 2.86. He has yet to blow a save. He's yet to pick up a loss. The guy has like no negative outcomes that has happened to him over the course of the entire year. He's incredible. he's still, under team control for next year. Somebody asked me, do you think we bring him back yet next year? I don't see how you have any other choice.
Yeah, he has guaranteed. He has basically solidified himself on the roster next year. Like, you cannot not bring him back. He has been too good, and the walk stats just ridiculous. Like,
yeah, it's insane.
Like, you can talk about how he gives up a couple home runs too much. I'd agree with that, but like 1 home run per 9 is not great. But he's been so solid, and like, I know WAR won't account for it, but we probably won at least 3 games because of Borucki coming in and shutting things down.
I mean, he's consistently been that first guy out of the bullpen who you call upon to get out of trouble when you need to, when you have a lead, like in the like the 6th or 7th inning. Like, he's been that guy for the better part of 2 months now, and he's succeeded in that role pretty much every single time he's been called upon.
Yeah. It's kind of like having an 8th inning guy in the 6th inning. It's pretty incredible to see. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how. Like, I mean, it's kind of regrins of like Vin Mazzaro in like 2013, who had that. Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess the one caveat here is like he has had sustained major league success before. Like his rookie year in Toronto, he came up as a starter. And he was good. Like, he had a really good year as a rookie starter in 2018. And then, COVID happened. And then really once that kind of started, like 2021, 2022, he was not great. But this year, yeah, just on a whole other level, pitching, just outstanding pitching from Ryan Borucki.
Yeah.
So he finishes the 6th. He pitches the 7th. I'm sorry. He finishes the 6th, gets 1 out in the 7th, gives way to Carmen Mlodzinski, who, again, very impressive since being called up. I had my doubts about Mlodzinski as a starting pitcher coming up through the minors. I always thought he was going to be a reliever, and I thought he could be a pretty good one too, just with his pitch mix. And he's showing to be a pretty good kind of glue guy there in between the middle relief and your back end. He did a great job just getting the lead to Holderman today.
He's done it. He's really like come up and like seized like the 7th inning role like by the horns. Like, maybe you want Borucki there, but I think Borucki's done a really good job as coming in the 5th and 6th innings is like, like shut the valves from like the game getting out of hand. And Mlodzinski is just there. Yeah, like he has been all reliable there in the 7th inning. He wasn't great yesterday, but he's a rookie, and 2.17 ERA. I know reliever ERA is kind of like whatever, but in 29 innings, he's striking out almost a guy per inning. His pitch to stuff looks good. No, and his walk rates are pretty manageable, so I'm pretty happy with Mlodzinski. Like a Borucki, Mlodzinski, Holderman, Bednar, 4 innings of bullpen is pretty darn good.
The Pirates have won 10 out of the last 11 games that Carmen Mlodzinski has appeared in.
Wow, I believe it.
There you go. 10-1.
We've come a long way from him giving up bombs to the Marlins in heartbreaking fashion. But
yeah,
I will say this is that I have no idea how this is a real stat, but I tweeted this out earlier today. The Pirates are top 10 for bullpen F4. Like, in terms of F4, we are a top 10 in the league. Like, we're sitting comfortably at number 10. And when you think about the names that we have trotted out this year, that's nothing short of a miracle, really.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you think about it, F4 goes off of FIP, right? So, you limit the walks and you strike people out, you're gonna have a good FIP, and that's kind of been the MO of this bullpen. We just talked about it with Borucki, Mlodzinski, kind of the same way. Like the guy throws strikes. Really, the bullpen throws strikes for the most part, and that's you're going to have success doing that. So yeah, that's a pretty cool stat. So Majinski finishes off the 7th. Colin Holderman comes on and just looks excellent. 1, 2, 3, 8th inning, his 27th hold of the year. He threw a 99-mile-an-hour sinker, like right on the inside corner to Lane Thomas, and I was just like, that's unhittable. It was an unhittable pitch.
Holderman is locked in. Like he has been locked in for a while too, and it's really fun to see. Like it is really, really fun. You know, he was always such a frustrating pitcher because you knew he always had that in him. But now he's locked in, and like he's finally been like, oh, I feel comfortable going into the 8th inning with this lead with Colin Holderman. And I think back in May or June, I don't know if we really felt all that comfortable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he went to the IL following his June 14th appearance. He gave up 3 runs that game against the Cubs. ERA at that point got to 4.01. And since then, it was a short stint on the IL, 2 weeks, comes back in July, excellent August, and he's putting together a really good September too. So yeah, he's really settled into that setup role. You feel extremely confident about your game really going. If you get the game into the 8th inning with a lead, you feel good.
Yeah, you do. And we felt really good.
We did. We felt good. And then going to the 9th inning, Pirates with a 2-run lead. And this is where things got a little squirrely, right? So first pitch, Alika Williams comes into the game as a defensive replacement. First pitch, pop up in foul territory. And Alika Williams drops it.
Drops it. And a ball that's probably not his.
Yeah. So he drops the ball. At bat continues, ends up being a walk. Luis Garcia singles. Then there's an infield single that's really just a really bad play by Alfonso Rivas. Next thing you know, it's 7-6.
Well, Alfonso Rivas should have gotten that first single in the first place. I think everyone, all the Pirates fans, like a collective here, is like, where is Carlos Santana? Because like if Carlos Santana is there, that ball doesn't leave the infield.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Alfonso Rivas and Alika Williams, who are probably fighting for their lives for roster spots next year, not covering themselves in glory.
No, I would be surprised if either of them have a roster spot next year. I could see them maybe carrying Rivas, but
I could too.
I would rather them not. Yeah.
Yes. Same.
So 7-6 after the infield single to Rivas. Then we get a fielder's choice. We get a walk to load the bases. So 1-run lead, bases loaded, CJ Abrams up to the plate, like the one promising national in this entire lineup.
I was terrified. I was like, you had the entire bottom of the order, and now we have Lane Thomas and CJ Abrams up with the bases loaded. I was terrified.
Yeah. You walk Ildemaro Vargas to get to CJ Abrams and Lane Thomas. But Bednar, again, it was interesting, but Bednar buckles down, strikes out Abrams, really just challenged him with a fastball right down the middle, said, hey, hit this if you can, and he couldn't. And then Lane Thomas ends it with a fly out to center that Bay tracks down. So Pirates win. They're 68-78. Anyone who was an over better on the season win total in Vegas, you're happy tonight.
I mean, I knew it was free money, but I just don't bet. So that's on me. That's a personal issue.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, hey, it's September 13th. There's still almost 3 weeks left in this season. You're feeling good. You just cashed your bet. So congratulations to the Pirates over bettors tonight. But yeah, I know. Doug bet. I think Doug bet the over, and then he also put like some crazy line on Andy Rodriguez Rookie of the Year. So that's not going to happen. But the over is going to hit for you, Doug. So congrats.
I'm sorry, Doug's losing those $5 he put on Andy Rodriguez.
Yep.
Maybe he maintains his rookie eligibility going into next year. I don't know. But
carry over bet. Yeah.
Whatever.
But no, Pirates win 7-6, 68-78 on the year. Game 4 of the series tomorrow. It's Mitch Keller Day versus Josiah Gray. Two actual pitchers, kind of going off against each other tomorrow.
Two interesting pitchers where I can't watch because it's a 12:30 game.
Yeah, day game. We will have the post-game show. It'll probably be Cody doing a solo show, perhaps.
I think
Maybe
Connor's
Connor
hopping on too. I think it's Cody and Connor.
Yeah, so we'll still have coverage for you. But yeah, I mean, other than that, anything else to add about today's game?
No. I just wish it was a little more comfortable, but a win's a win.
Hey, you gotta make things interesting sometimes. You can't just roll to a 7-1 victory, Neil. It doesn't. That's no fun. It's no fun.
Bednar was just loading the bases because he was bored.
Yeah, let's say he was just trying to make it so that everybody got their money's worth.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll talk to you all tomorrow. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for your comments. Like I said, we'll hop on here tomorrow, and hopefully we're talking about a Pirates series win. See you all.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.